Welcome to our online tutorial. In today's tutorial, we'll be learning how to make a twisted dress. You can see your twisted dress can come in different form, a plain gown or a shirt dress. To make our twisted dress, we need a stretchy fabric. Mine is not that stretchy, and a light one. Please, when you are doing this, make sure you are using a lighter and stretchy fabric. So we'll be needing a paper pattern. I already have my basic pattern on it, my shoulder to waist, hip and all that. I have my zipper allowance drawn in it because I'll be using this paper to cut from my back alone first. It's just my hemline, so this is what I cut out. This will be transferred to make my back, and later I'll trim out the zipper allowance to cut the front. So this is what I have after cutting my back. I have my neckline cut off camera. As you can see in the paper pattern, there was no neckline in it. So the next thing I'm going to do now is my front. So now I'll be removing the zipper allowance line because we don't need a zipper at the front. So we remove the zipper allowance. While doing this, don't cut into the pattern. So you can just ensure your measurements are still intact in it, and ensure your measurements are intact just like I have done. So on my waistline, I'm going to be marking 1 inch. 1 inch inwards. This 1 inch, I'm going to make a straight line, a slanting vertical line to my hem. Just as you can see, just make a vertical line to the hem line. So this I'm going to cut out, but before cutting out, you need to draw an arc to avoid a sharp edge. You can see, so you can go ahead and cut this out. Don't forget to avoid a sharp edge. So you need to make it a little bit curvy. Just make an arc at that point. So I'll be flipping this over because of my patterns that has been sketched on it. So we are going to make some other pattern because it's going to be slash and spread method to make the twisted dress. So with this, I'll flip it over, then I take note of my waistline. I mark out my waistline and I have some points on it. So from my waistline, which is the center point there, I'm going to be making some slash on the pattern. My first slash will go up like 4 to 5 inches above my waist. So just to the center point of my waistline. Then the next one will be a little bit around the armhole, so about 1 inch away from the previous line. Ignore this one I'm making now, it's an error. So I'm going to cross it over now and make the proper one. So just 1 inch or less away from the first one. We'll not be using the previous one I marked. So the next one is just going to enter the shoulder line and about 2 to 3 inches away from the center, the second one. So I cross the previous one over. It's a little bit confusing when you are doing this, so you have to be patient. So I'm going to do the same thing just to the lower part of the dress. Still to the center points, I marked to a little bit above the hip. Then the next one is 1 inch away from it. There is another error there. Please, when you are doing this, you have to be careful. So I'm going to cross this over again. That line is meant to go to about 1 inch away from the first one of the lower part, just as we have it on the upper part of it. So I've done the correction here. when you are doing your own, you have to be very, very patient while doing it. So that's the last line there. As you can see, I label it 1 2 3 1 2 3. For the upper part I have 1 2 3, then the lower part the same thing. Now the next thing is to cut all my marked line, because I'm going to be spreading it on the main fabric. So I will be slashing it by cutting. We just cut to the edge, like say ½ inch to the edge of the dress. So we are slashing from the center to the sides. I'm just going to do the same thing all through, from the center to each of the sides, leaving out about 0.5 inch at the edges. Remember, we still have the waistline there, so this waistline is going to be totally cut out, or you can just start from behind, then you cut to the center. You cut from behind to the center. So I totally cut my own open, and this is the upper bodice. You can see that line, that my waistline. I cut it out openly. Then I place my pattern, spreading it out on another brown paper, and I have my neckline cut in it already. You can see my armhole over there, and then I'm going to be adding the lower part. So the waistline, you notice that the center point for the lower part of the waistline and the upper part of the waistline is kissing each other at that point. So I'm just going to cut some part of the paper to extend this part that the paper couldn't get to. So if you want to do this, you may need a big pattern paper to do it, but this is what I have available while doing this tutorial. So I'm making use of what I have for now. So I just do a little bit of parchment in it, like adding an extra paper under it, then I hold it in place with my paper tape. So just make sure you open it just a little, you spread it out a little by little, just like I have done. I'm still trying to put in place my paper so that I can get my accurate cut at the long run. This I will be stitching much later with my sewing machine. After cutting it out, I'm going to stitch the paper down so that I don't end up having it flipping out and I want to cut my fabric. So you remember that our line that we drew, so I did the same thing there. That's the line on the waist. Remember the line of 1 inch that was drawn vertically to the end. So that's what we have there. I'm trying to remove my paper after cutting out the shape as it is being spread. So I'm removing the paper from it. You can see that we are having a new shape, a brand new shape, and that part I have stitched it like I said earlier. So I'm having a brand new shape. Remember, we don't want to have a sharp edge. I'm still drawing my arc, and I'm going to open it up again just like we did in the main pattern, the main front pattern of the dress. So I'm still going to cut out that part again. You can see that it is still on my waistline. Please, when you are doing this, make sure it is on your waistline, provided you are having the twist at the center. That depends greatly on where you are having your twist. Some twists are on the sides, some twists are on the center, upper part or lower part, so depending on what you want. So I have my fabric folded into two to cut my front bodies, and I'm just going to cut it out with this my new shape. I'm cutting it out with my new shape. So just cut all through following the shape in it. So having cut this is what I have. My twisted dress is getting ready, almost ready for the first part of it, which is the cutting aspect of it. So the same thing is what I will be doing here. Still slash it open again, making sure I avoid a sharp edge at that point, just as we avoid it while cutting the paper pattern. So this is the final outcome of our front bodies, and the next video will be on how we put the pieces together to make our twisted dress. Thank you very much for viewing. I hope to see you in our next tutorial where we'll be sewing the dress. Alright, have a day. Bye.